It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
I'm looking forward to getting a date. You probably don't know anything. Is there? Do you guys have any idea when you'll be fighting soon or no?
No, it's supposed to go to Preston. I'll tell you what though, I've never seen my kid hurt, but the only person who ever landed the best punch on my son was Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson, yeah, that was nobody ever gives that when it's just due, because like Willie always.
When he came back to the corner, you know what I said to my son?
What'd you tell him?
He used your own shit on you, body uppercut.
He beat him at his own game.
He used your shit on you. How you let that happen?
And what did Boo Boo tell you? What was his response?
It didn't matter. You know, I just had to say it.
Yeah.
Just like my other son when he fought I forgot his name, but my other son was watching the fight. He said, "Dad, I want $50 on you." I said, "Why?" He said, "Watch. After Boo Boo got hit with those punches, he got hit with it might have been cocaine, but he got hit with a 3-punch combination with somebody, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Watch my father say something." As soon as I got back to the corner, I said, "What? You felt like getting hit? You controlled the fight, the whole fight. Now you felt like getting hit. You let him land that punch on you?"
Damn.
But Willie Nelson used his own shit out of the body and the uppercut. I laughed. I was like, I came back. And that uppercut, I said, it done Boo Boo a little bit, but nobody's ever heard him.
Yeah, no, that was a tough fight. Willie Nelson came to fight that night.
No?
I'm saying Willie Nelson came to fight that night. He always comes and fights his heart out, and that win doesn't really get its just due.
And you know what? I work with Willie. I love Willie. I worked with big training camps and elite camps and everything else. And I mean, he was just eating so many punches. I was like, Willie just wants to fight on the inside all the time, and that was the wrong thing to do.
And he's so big. He shouldn't be doing that. He's got all that size and all that range. He should use it.
Exactly.
But yeah, Paul, I'm gonna let you go, man. I'm gonna let you go because I know it's late.
Yeah, that's cool. But actually, they rather us fight Gabriel Lozano than Jack Parker because he got a bigger name. I mean, we're becoming the king of the Europeans. That's what it seems like.
Well, you know what's funny is a lot of people like when I talk to people about boxing, I'll say, yeah, Canelo keeps fighting all these European fighters, and they'll say, oh, Andrade's fighting European fighters too. But I'm like, yeah, but he has to fight European fighters because that's the only guys that will fight him. The Americans don't want to fight him. The Mexicans don't want to fight him. The Europeans are the only ones courageous enough to fight Demetrius Andrade.
Because they've known him since he was a kid.
Yeah.
A lot of them been in the ring with him before he sparring, fights. They've all been in the ring with him.
You're talking about the Americans, right? And the Mexicans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Americans. Everybody since his entire career. Like Hadley, Trout, Porter,
Plant,
Keith Durbin, Danny Jacobs. They've all been in the ring with him.
Yeah, Caleb Plant.
Caleb used to train with us.
Oh, okay.
We never fought Caleb. There was always in the ring with us. But everybody's been in the ring with us as an amateur. And he didn't get any worse.
No.
And they just say, one time we were at a fight, Keith Durbin comes running up to Boo Boo. That's the only man that ever kicked my ass.
I've seen that interview. I've seen it. I've seen that footage.
And he's a great kid. I've known him. Like Danny, when Boo Boo dropped on the scene, he was 17 years old, walked to the whole senior division at 17 years old, including Danny in the finals.
How'd that fight go? Did he stop him, or was that like a decision?
Yeah, it was an amateur fight. It was a decision.
Okay.
Matter of fact, Boo Boo got a point taken away from him because they were talking back and forth. Danny was saying, I said, what did he say to you? He said, come on, Boo Boo, stand still so I can hit you. Boo Boo was like, come on, try to hit me. But you're both, you know what I mean? We've done camps together and all that for years. We're friends. They're all friends. Caleb, great kid, had his wife, his kids there with us all the time. When we were Atlanta, he was in Tennessee. I used to pick him up and everything else. you know, and it was like we were all friends with him, but they all tell you, man, don't fuck with Boo Boo because leave him alone.
You know, you want a lot of things. I was gonna say like they want a lot of things in their life, but they don't want those problems with Demetrius Andrade.
Exactly. They will. If you walk up to all of them, just say, "Don't fuck with Boo Boo."
All right, I'm gonna start doing that.
He dominated the entire country since he was 17 years old.
It's the best. I mean, aside from Terrence, I mean, him and Terrence Crawford, to me, they're like 1A and 1B for the best American fighters. I know Crawford didn't have the amateur career Boo Boo had, but Crawford's been really doing a great job in the pros. So I see Boo Boo and Crawford like 1A and 1B. Those are the best American fighters.
Terrence deserves more money and everything else in notoriety. They don't even put him up where he belongs. That's
sad too, because like it just seems like he it's hard for him to get the credit he deserves. Because like even when he stopped Porter, people try to diminish the Porter win. I'm like, man, when are you guys just gonna give this man his props? Like the guy has not had.
Porter won several world titles, beat everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's a complexion. They do not want another Mayweather. I'm sorry, that's how we feel.
Yeah, honestly, look, I'm very slow to play the race card, but I'm to the point where I'm just like, look, it's the truth. Like at some point, you got to get to a point where you say, you know what, this is what it is. Like they don't want the black fighters to be at the top, so they're gonna try to phase them out as much as they can. And you know, it is what it is. You know, it's not being racist. It's just acknowledging reality. It's
Wait, that's the truth he is. You know what they want? Two black fighters. Okay, they're always pushing us in Charlo. And Charlo's so ignorant, you can't see that. Oh, the best fighter in the world, and all this, Chris Maddox, all that. But he didn't talk about us fighting Triple G.
No, because Triple G is being used as the pawn for the Canelo fight.
I'll put it this way. All the top fighters, even in the past, black fighters, had to fight other black fighters.
Yeah.
It's not racial, but it was racial because you didn't let us fight the world. There was a time a Mexican, you said boo to a Mexican fighter, you were in a fight. Proud Mexican fighters.
Yeah, like
great.
Chavez Sr., even like Oscar De La Hoya fought everyone.
Right.
But like even like now,
that went away. But Oscar protected Canelo, and he got it stuck up his ass afterwards. Because I was with Oscar, I said, "When are you going to give us the time with the dance?" He said, "Well, when I went to school, you know, a lot of girls wanted to date me, but they had to wait their turn."
Oscar told you that for real?
Hell yeah. I was in California. I said, "When are you going to cut the leash loose?"
And he said, we're not making that Canelo Andrade fight, pretty much in his own funny way.
Right, but then when they look at possible opponents, they kind of use other fighters as pawns to get the fighters that they want to make the deal.
Yeah, that happens a lot. They build guys up.
Triple negotiation, but two negotiations are like just to tell the fighter, well, I'm going to fight him if you don't fight me, and you will never have a chance again.
Yeah.
So they throw other names out there. I don't think the Charlo fight's going to happen because Charlo doesn't want to go up to 168.
And only for Canelo, but not for Andrade.
He had us at middleweight. He didn't want it. He used an excuse with his brother, a fight that was never signed, agreed upon, or anything. I don't know why they were talking about that stupid shit.
Well, yeah, people always talk about that. Like, I mean, I know the story, and you obviously know the story. For people that don't know that story, I mean, you can tell it again, like, because like people keep saying Boo Boo pulled out of the Jermell Charlo fight. Now, explain what happened. Like, how did that fight even come up? Like, and why do you think people say that?
Well, they approached us with that fight. Okay? We're in negotiation with Rock Nation. Rock Nation says, well, I don't know if you should take the fight. I'm like, yo, this is our fight. So Rock Nation was going back and forth. And then I asked the dollar amounts to my promoters. So the thing was, okay, if Showtime's going to fight us, give us a 3-fight deal, I want all the dollar amounts. Because each is another tier. So I said, we're not accepting the fight. Because I didn't get true figures. And that was it.
That's all it was.
We never looked again at the fight. Now, what happened was Showtime announced that fight before it was green time.
So,
and they should never announced it. Now, if there was we pulled out of the fight, tell me one press conference, one training camp, name anything, we would have been interviewed by people, pre-fight interviews. There was not one pre-fight interview, one training camp, nothing.
Yeah.
The fight was never on the table. It was on the table, but it was never agreed upon.
And then
how do you fight? 10 days before a fight, shouldn't we have interviews?
Yeah, that's how it normally works. You go to the media workouts, press conference, Zoom calls. You get all that knocked out so you can promote the fight. But yeah, like I watch hella interviews on YouTube. I've never seen one interview where there was no interviews for the Charlo Andrade fight. So
we weren't even in training camp for him.
Do you guys think the Charlos did that? They concocted like that whole plan to say that you guys ducked them and pulled out as a way to like avoid you? Because like they keep using it to this day.
Because I'm going to explain to you why. The brother that talks all the shit was not the brother we were supposed to fight.
Jermell, the big one. Because you were supposed to fight the little one.
Right. So why are you going to talk all this shit and defend? And you don't want to fight and get paid? He was offered $7 million to fight us. And he refused it. Now, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Bob Duncan said if we fought Charlo back then, they would not be where they are today because they would have got their asses kicked, number one. Number two, my philosophy of boxing is don't give away the big fight early. You both go your separate way, you both get your reputation, and make it a big money fight.
Mm-hmm.
You don't give that fight away for $100,000, $150,000, $200,000. When that fight's going to be, I said the same thing to Lara. I was in New York. Lara was in New York. I walked up to Lara, and I said to Lara, we're going to fight, okay? But we're not going to give away the fight. We're going to fight where we're both going to make millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to give it away for a few $100,000. Well, I felt this, why, Charlo should be happy. Because if he gave the fight away back then, he probably would have got maybe $50,000, $100,000, whatever, right? Got his ass kicked, and he never would have seen a $1 million fight.
So
now you can fight the guy for $50,000 or $200,000, or you can fight it for millions. What would you prefer?
Oh, of course, the million. I'm trying to touch them M's.
That's why what they're talking is so stupid.
Yeah.
So if that fight didn't happen a few years ago, okay, good. Now we both continue our career. We got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now that fight's worth millions of dollars versus what, 150, 200,000?
Yeah.
So when would you rather risk it?
Oh, the millions, of course, especially to fight.
And that's how stupid they are. You're going to say, I don't want to fight him for $7 million because he pulled out of a fight. We never pulled out of a fight in our life.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I always wanted to ask you, I always forget to ask you this. So like when Andre was before he fought Jack Colque, I remember your son said that he said that Lara was a last resort, that he'd rather fight Jack Colque. Was the money issue that you're referring to, with Lara, was that the reason why he fought Jack Colque? Like, what was the whole story behind that fight? Why it happened?
Our promoters told us, okay, the way back up to the top is to go to Germany and fight this guy. So we did what our promoter told us to do.
Okay.
All right. There was no Lara fight on the table.
Okay. Yeah. Because the reason I'm asking is because people always like to say that Demetrius Andrade ducked Lara, and they used quotes from like 2016 where he said, "Erislandy Lara is a last resort. I would fight Jack Koke." Like he said something along those lines. So that's why I asked.
Well, they understood it because we were told to fight Koke and win the interim title.
Okay.
So we would get the Lara fight.
Yeah.
We tried to fight Lara. He would never. He ran his mouth for 2 seconds and never said another word.
Yeah.
Now, our promoter says, "Okay, we're going to go over to WBC, fight Koke, win that title. After we beat him and win that title, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to jump over to WBO. They wanted us to pay a sanctions fee to do another fight. We said, keep that title. It's a bullshit title. But let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Back then, Canelo was in that organization, right? Why did Koke fight in?
That's a good point. I don't know. Yeah, I have to ask Jack or his team, but
when these fans going to realize these promoters in the back room with cigars and drinks in their hands and negotiate what happens? And who's going to make the money, who's going to share the money?
Well, I try to tell people already, like most of this stuff, as far as like when the fights take place, but by the time the fans hear about a fight getting announced, they've already had that finalized in the back room 3, 4, 5 weeks in advance.
Right, and one promoter gets options on the other fighter if their fighter loses. He gets money from that fighter for maybe 1 or 2 fights.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there was a fight with Mundine over there in Australia. Never happened. They wanted us to go to Australia. They were, you're kidding me. And we're a bigger fighter. But my other promoter, negotiating the fight, wanted too many options on Mundine. So Mundine people said no. Because we're all pieces of meat to the promoter.
I was just telling my dad, like, boxing is like it's like the pimps and the hoes, you know, like the promoters are the pimps and the fighters are the hoes, and once they get what they need from the fighters, they just kick them to the curb. And it's the harsh realities of boxing, but that's why I'm saying, like, these fighters got to get what they got to get from the sport and not worry about what the promoters got going on. Get what you got to get.
You know, the fans don't realize that. Okay, when 2 promoters sit down and talk about a fighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're the top dog,
mm-hmm.
right? But if your guy beats me, I get 2 fight options on your guy. That means I get the other promoter gets part of his purse.
So there's
an option.
There's more hands in the cookie jar. If
oh yeah, because when a fighter says, okay, I will give you a crack at my top dog. My dog's bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, but I want 2 options on your fighter if your fighter wins.
Yeah.
So the promoter agrees with it. So for the next 2 fights, that other promoter gets a piece of the pie.
He's living large and in charge. He's doing good. He has those options.
I'll tell you what fight that really happened that screwed us because we were supposed to fight on the other card.
What was that?
Okay. Let me put the names together. Erislandy or what's his name from New York? God, I got his name right at the tip of my tongue.
You mean wait?
Chris Algieri, right?
Chris Algieri. Oh yeah, Pavanikov versus Algieri. Yeah.
Right. Now, Jordan Brady had one, Apu had the other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But both of them had us. So, Chris Algieri ended up winning the fight and got the fight with Pacquiao, right?
Yeah.
Well, if Erislandy won the fight, we would have piggybacked their fight card. We would have been on the undercard of that fight.
Of whoever Ruslan fought next.
Huh?
Of whoever Ruslan Provandikov fought next, right?
Right.
Okay.
No. Ruslan fought Algiers, right?
Yeah. And
the winner was Pacquiao, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Barnier had Algiers,
Okay.
right? Bruno had
Ruslan.
Provandikov, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one had Bruno had an option on Algiers, so if Algiers won, he got a piece of the fight on Pacquiao.
And that's what happened.
Now, right, if Algiers lost and Ruslan won, we were going to be on the undercard.
Of a Pacquiao undercard. You would have fought on the Manny Pacquiao, Ruslan Provandikov undercard. Oh, man.
Right, because Bruno, right, and Bob Arum were great fights.
Yeah.
But all negotiated. All this shit is already there before the fans even know it.
Yeah.
Now, because Algiers won, we didn't hit the undercard.
Damn. That's unfortunate. That would have been huge. That would have been huge. But, you know, God has a plan for everyone, so.
Look, you know, all these promoters set the destinies for their fighters. We're not really a mix of a deal. Okay. Top Rank doesn't really want John Beck to fight us.
No?
Fuck no.
No, I don't think so. They just run their mouth.
Wait, why do you think this whole thing of renegotiating where we're both fighting for interim titles? Because Top Rank is like this. Okay. My guy fights Andrade. I put him in that position, but can he beat Andrade? But if I delay the press bid, delay the negotiation, and see what Andrade's going to do, if Andrade moves up to 168, his guy got an easier path to the title.
And then he can win a title, and that puts them in the green.
Right now, it's going to be a vacant title they fight for. The two guys will fight. He's going to fight what's his name?
Falcao.
Flavio?
Yeah, Esquivio Falcao, the Brazil.
Falco, right?
Yeah, the Brazilian.
Right. Now, I wanted to fight Falco a long time ago. They wouldn't approve Falco for us.
No?
No.
Listen, that's ridiculous.
Other fighters they approve it for, they never approved it for us. Because we should have fought Falco like 4 years ago.
That's ridiculous.
No, he ain't big enough. His name ain't big enough.
His name's still not big enough.
Oh, no, it's big enough for Jermell, right?
Yeah.
See the double standard?
So there's a lot of them.
Right, so we wanted to fight Falco like 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay. Now, Falco moves up to middleweight. Now he's going to fight him for a title. So, Pat Beck knows one thing. Okay? John Beck fights for Falco. He beats Falco. John Beck does not beat Demetrius. That's why they did not push that press bid.
There you go.
So he gets the easier path to the title and fights. He'll fight the interim with Falco, and then who's going to fight? Munguia?
Maybe Munguia. Probably Munguia. And that's a lot easier than Andrade.
Okay. Do you understand what's going on?
Yeah, I understand. It's all maneuvering and it's all chess and.
It's a chess game, and we're the pawns.
That's it.
But you had 3 pawns get bigger than the queen, and that was Canelo, Triple G, Mayweather. They were bigger than the queen. They started out as pawns, but they became bigger than the queen.
Yeah, and that's only a certain fighters that reach that level as far as like fame and money and revenue.
Right, fan base, all this shit.
Yeah.
I mean, boxing with fighters is an illusion. Who's the top dog? You give them all the great fights. You make HBO did that with Triple G. Okay, the only fighter they had of color was Terrence Crawford and Danny Jacobs. Now,
well, they had Ward. They had Andre Ward too.
Oh man, they forced fight Kobe off or don't fight at all. They put him on the wall.
Yeah, but that was really the only fight people wanted to see at that time for Ward. There really weren't many fights out there at 175.
Okay, since when did a fighter or promoter give the fans the fight they wanted to see?
That's
a
true.
fighter will give it to it without the promoters. Since when?
That's true.
We had a fight in between that, and they said no.
Yeah, the
Black man can only fight another black man, and everybody's happy. Once a black man crosses the line and want to fight somebody else, everybody's out of his camp. They're dogging him because they all want us to fight Charlo, but nobody say, "Why don't you fight Triple G?"
Yeah, or Canelo.
Triple G on the table.
Yeah, it's all BS, Paul. But it is what it is.
Why would they mention Triple G or Charlo? Because they feel the trilogy will make so much more money.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's the money.
That's it.
That's it.
They can say what they want to do, but they don't make the fights.
That's it, man.
The day the fans make the fights, we would have had all great fights. Everybody would have been fighting everybody else. As soon as we leave the middleweight division,
it's gonna be on.
Everybody's gonna try to unify.
It's gonna be on fire.
No, we've been middleweight. We were 54 champ. There was no unification going on, was there?
No. But then as soon as you left, Lara's fighting Jarrett Hurd, Charlo's fighting Julian Williams. It was a glorious time. As soon as you left.
Kodo was fighting.
Kodo?
Kodo, we were trying to settle something and told Rockman we'll fight Kodo.
And they said, of course, negative.
No, but Rock Nation was supposed to we were supposed to be the first fighter that Rock Nation side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who they ended up fighting? Kodo, who was aged out.
Yeah.
And they lost a fortune on him. Because what they had to pay him. They made a bad business decision.
It is what it is. The boxing game is chock full of bad business decisions, Paul, but
Right, and where was Kodo born?
Puerto Rico. Oh no, Rhode Island.
And Rhode Island.
Yeah.
When I Googled the top fighters in Rhode Island, Kodo was born in Rhode Island.
I forget that most of the time because they always play up the Puerto Rico part. But yeah, he's a fellow. What part of is he from? Providence? What part of Rhode Island is he from?
Providence.
Oh,
he was born in Providence.
Oh wow! So that would have been huge. They should have had that joint at the Andre versus Cotto at the Dunkin' Donuts Center.
Nothing bad to say about him, but he acted like he couldn't even speak English. He was like he never said he was from Providence.
Well, it's not. It's more marketable to say you're from Puerto Rico.
Well, a lot of people thought he was born in New York. He was from New York. He marketed himself not being from Providence, Rhode Island.
Well, that's kind.
That's where he was born. I don't know where he was raised at.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's very similar to like what Teofimo Lopez did, because Teofimo Lopez is from he grew up and learned how to box in the South Florida area, like Fort Lauderdale, Miami area, but he was marketed as a New York fighter because his dad's from New York and he was born there, but he didn't grow up there and he didn't know how to box there. So like whenever I would say like Teofimo Lopez is from South Florida, people would say no, he's from New York, and I'm like, no, he's not from New York. No, nobody knows Teofimo in New York. He's a Florida boy. So it's a similar thing.
The whole thing is we're screwed because of the smaller state of the union, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like take Devin Haney, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great friend. I love the guy. You know, we did camps. We were camps together. His father and I, we're all friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
He came from the second largest city in the country.
What, San Francisco?
A big fan base. Okay, we're from New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you become a New York fighter, they have the biggest Golden Gloves tournament. They have the biggest amateur tournament. But we destroy everybody from New York, but we're not from New York.
Yeah.
So we couldn't push that card. New York is the biggest city in the country as far as population.
Yeah.
So if you get 10% of people, you're doing good.
But,
I mean, you got one borough in New York. There's more people than Rhode Island.
yeah, but you know what? I mean, I think. Listen, I like when fighters are from like different, like different areas. Like even if they're smaller, I feel like it makes them unique. Like I like that Boo Boo's from Providence.
Yeah, it's great, but if New York got 2 million boxing fans,
Yeah, that's
right?
true. I get where you're coming from though. Like New York is better for business.
10% of them, that's 200,000 followers from the rip.
Mm-hmm.
Our population.
Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button and surely you will not be disappointed. You know, True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia, and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God bless.